What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Alright, so before I get into this video, I want to give a shout out to a subscriber for showing love to the channel. Much respect to Joker for the donation to the channel via the Cash App. Much respect to Joker for showing love to Too Raw for TV. Alright, so there is a subscriber who wanted me to answer a question, at least from my perspective, and that is heat culture a real thing? In my opinion, yes it is. Alright? Now, Udonis Haslem, who's in his last year as a player, although at this point he's really more of a mentor than a player, in an interview that he did with GQ back in 2021, this is what he had to say about heat culture. He said, heat culture is discipline, accountability, work ethic, and enjoying someone else's success. It also is caring about people outside the game of basketball. Heat culture ain't for everybody. It ain't for everybody. I understand that. There's guys that have been here that have hated this shit. Now, I ain't saying no names, but there's a particular player who won his first couple of championships with Miami, and he hated the culture because it goes against everything that he's for. He's all about himself. He only cares about his numbers. He doesn't care about people and what players can do for him outside of basketball. He tried to get his coach fired there, and it's the only franchise he's played with where he didn't have near autonomy and control of what the franchise did or didn't do. And he hated it, and that's why he left. Partially that, and because he saw that one of his teammates was getting older and the other one was having other issues. But anyway, I digress. To me, heat culture has its roots all the way back to the Showtime Lakers when Pat Riley was coaching. Yeah, Showtime was flash and dash, and it was entertaining, fast breaking. A very aesthetic pleasing style for fans to watch. But at the heart of Showtime was accountability and hard work. These guys put in a lot of work in practice, which is something that I think teams like the Grizzlies, teams like, the Lakers too, most teams need to do more of today. They've abandoned practices. That's why sometimes the basketball looks so terrible. But anyway, the Showtime Lakers had a high standard. To them, Laker fans, it was in the 80s, they expected at least a trip to the finals. And if the Lakers didn't make it to the finals, or even if they went to the finals and they put in a poor performance, you better believe that they had to put in that extra work going into next year. If they ran one a days, they had two a days. If they had, if they had an hour of layup drills, it was 2 hours. Whatever the hell they did prior, they did at least twice of. That's why a lot of those Laker players, man, they were so in shape. 190, 200. You didn't see no big dudes. You didn't see no guys walking around looking like they done, like Carmelo Anthony, like they done ate about a whole pack of donuts. No, they put in that work. Also, if you notice during the Pat Riley years, I don't think anybody averaged more than 24 points a game because it was teamwork. It was no selfishness. It wasn't, about me. It was about the team. You had to care about other people. And, with Magic and all those other guys, it was about rooting for other people's success. There's certain people, once again, not naming no names, that when other people get, praise in the media, they don't really like it. They may fiend that they like it, but it's really all about them. And that's just a shame, because that's what heat culture's about. But it had its roots in L.A. Then Pat Riley left the Lakers and went to New York. Now, New York was more of the embodiment of Pat Riley than people realize. Yeah, Pat Riley was about the $1,000 suits and the slick back hair and GQ style and all of that. But at the heart of Pat Riley was a blue collar guy. He wasn't the most talented player in the NBA when he played, Pat Riley, but he was more in tune, and he identified more with the players who were the hard workers, the players who had to work much harder to stay in the fucking league. You know what I'm saying? That's what he adhered to, and that's what the New York Knicks were about. Unfortunately for the New York Knicks, they had to run into Michael Jordan every goddamn year. Plus, Pat didn't have the control and say so as far as the rosters, who played for the team as much as he wanted to with the Knicks. And after that '95 playoffs, he was done. The Miami Heat had been giving him so many overtures, which was illegal. It was, but he got away with it. But when they gave him the offer, well, actually, I think he demanded this. He wanted control not just of being the coach, but he wanted to have the say so as far as roster personnel. When they gave him the role of head coach and team president, it was too much to resist, and that's when Pat Riley announced that he was now the head coach and team president of the Miami Heat. And that, to me, was the genesis of Heat culture, because Heat culture starts with Pat Riley. He wanted players there that embodied what he thought basketball should be about. The first move that he did, that I can remember, was trading Glenn Rice, essentially Glenn Rice and some other pieces, for Alonzo Mourning, because he wanted to build his team around a big man who was defensive-minded, a shot blocker, but selfless, hardworking, would be held accountable, held himself accountable, not just others. Georgetown, got to go Georgetown. They went with Alonzo Mourning. Then you had a point guard a lot of people had kind of fell out of favor with, Tim Hardaway. Remember, Tim Hardaway had that terrible knee injury that a lot of people thought he wouldn't be able to recover from. He augmented his game. Tim Hardaway was signed there. Then you had some other players. I remember there was a young, in '95, '96, it was a rookie, oh man, what was his name, man? The big man, Kurt Thomas. Kurt Thomas was fiery. I remember watching that team. I said, man, they're going to be a problem in the future. Now, I remember that '95, '96 season, his first year there, Pat Riley's head coach. The Bulls, the 72-win Bulls, played them in the first round and beat them by an average of 23 points a game. And the Bulls kind of were like laughing at Miami, like they're a joke. The very next year, they won 61 games. 61 games, Miami. And they made it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. And even though they only won one game against the eventual champion Bulls, they gave Michael Jordan a hard time, man. They gave Michael Jordan a hard time. I remember the last two games of that series, Michael Jordan only shot 20 of 66 from the floor. But ultimately, that Miami Heat team was a force in the Eastern Conference for a while. But ultimately, they stayed atop the Eastern Conference more or less for a decade. For a team that just started in 1988, you had to look at the other franchises that had started at that time. The Timberwolves, the Hornets, the Magic, what's the other one? Forgetting one. The Timberwolves, the Magic, the Heat, and it's one other team I'm forgetting for some reason. The Hornets. all of those teams more or less struggled. Now, of course, the Magic had their little run with Shaq and Penny, but once they lost those superstars, they fell off. But Miami Heat, because Pat Riley is such a great judge of talent, he was able to piecemeal teams and extend the period of time that they were a good team, and he was able to build good teams even with different nucleuses. As Alonzo Mourning and Tim Hardaway and those guys aged out, and even with other teams, Miami still would have a nice core. You know, maybe they would have a team with Eddie Jones, or remember Caron Butler was there for a while, or you know, they would stay a good team for a while. But then they got Dwayne Wade, and ultimately they got Shaquille O'Neal, even though he was on the downside of his prime. And then in 2006 they won their first championship. Then, of course, Pat Riley pulled off the coup of his career in 2010, acquiring LeBron James and Chris Bosh. Went to 4 straight finals, 2 NBA championships. LeBron James left in 2014. A lot of people say, well, that was it. You know, Miami's not going to win anymore. But then in just 6 seasons, Miami went back to the finals. And look at what they did today. Look at what they did today. When I say today, I mean in this day and age. They knocked off the first seed Milwaukee Bucks, who to me, the Bucks need some soul searching, man, because if they don't improve the team around Giannis, Giannis is going to leave. But here we got now Jimmy Butler, the new face of the franchise, with helping to lead a signature victory on the road against the New York Knicks and stolen away home court advantage. The 8th seed. Now, if he doesn't embody Heat culture, I don't know what embodies that. A man that was homeless at one point in time. Homeless. Hardworking. Heart of a fucking lion. That's Heat culture. You see how the Miami Heat don't give up? That's another thing. That's the little things about the NBA. You notice how a lot of these guys today, they get a 10, 12, 20-point lead, and they just give up. Some coaches pack it in, take out their starters, or some guys have a 20-point lead, some teams, and they just stop playing hard. They think they got it won. Miami is the type of team you can't do that around. You can't do that with. They never give up. That's why 3 or 4 times already in the playoffs, these young playoffs, still young playoffs, they've been down double digits and come back to win each game. So yes, Heat culture is for real. And not everybody can play there. Not everybody's built for it. But when it all comes together, man, you know, that's why the Miami Heat have been the most successful of the 4 franchises of the late 80s to enter the NBA. Once again, that's the Hornets, the Heat, the Magic, and the Timberwolves. They've been by far the most successful of those franchises. And they're in a position right now to make it to the conference finals again. Not saying that it's over with the Knicks, because the Knicks could come back and still win the series, but they're in a position to make the conference finals again. And this is a team that was the 10th seed in an unfavorable position in the play-in tournament. So anyway, that's all I got to say. Tell me what you guys think.